Welcome to part 2 of this Morris Minor Traveller wood restoration. This time we're hoping to get the roof off. So let's dig into how we got to this stage and then we'll get the roof off.
From the last time that you were here, done a lot of disassembly of all the fixings and things like that. You can see the roof, got all the roof guttering off, and I've sanded the edge down to remove the aluminium corrosion and the paint lip that was left from the last time it was painted over the gutter. So when the new gutter is fixed, you know, to give a better finish. A good thing to use for removing paint without damaging metalwork is one of these discs. It's like a very, very hard foam that will only take paint and filler off, but will leave the base metal. So even though I've done that with a grinder, and given it a light sand afterwards, it doesn't mar the metal or dig in, even with aluminium if you're gentle with them. So they're very useful for restoration and for stripping panels quickly, because to do that by hand with a block would just take hours and hours and hours and hours. So they are a good thing. Removed as many of the tacks that were loose as possible.
Which was apparently quite a lot of them.
Yeah, well, because this has been done before, there's 2 sets of holes.
Ah, yes.
So from the roof is tacked down and then the gutter is tacked down through the roof. So that's been done twice. There's quite a few holes. So
of course. Well, once you've got the gutter in place, I guess you can't see where the previous holes are.
No, exactly. The gutter covers everything, you know, I'll fill those up with something just to stop moisture getting to the woodwork.
There's
behind.
quite a few now.
There's a lot now.
Yeah.
The head lining has partially come down, so that is held on by boards front and back with tacks, which is very, very carefully try and get the tacks out without damaging the headliner. Is the original one, so try to be as gentle with it as possible. Yeah. We'll see when we've got it off completely, sort of what we think of it. Yeah. It's also tacked to the 2 central cross beams, which will leave in for now, because if we end up reusing that head lining, then it's in the perfect taut position now. So if you can remove the central 2 beams with the head lining attached, then you get the position right. You don't have to mess around too much. All the bolts between the roof and the cab are now off and the seal is out, and I've undone the majority of the screws and fixings around the base of the side panels, so we should be ready to start taking the major components apart.
Oh, exciting times. There are just a few more tacks still in the metal, so Tim's grinding through the wood's going in the bin anyway, and just grinding through those last few tacks just so the roof skin is entirely free.
Okay, so once you've cut behind and broken the core of the tack, you just give it a little jiggle. Just take the head off. Being super careful not to put any bend or anything in the...
Yeah, this is not a Hubnut job. I'll be in there levering it. Oh no, bent the roof. So we're very close to getting the roof off now, but one other thing we haven't mentioned yet is the seal that goes between the cab roof and the rear roof. Is that just simple rubber?
Yeah, it's just a simple rubber seal that gets crushed between the 2. You've got a row of bolts that sandwich this between the cab and the roof, and it just squeezes the 2 and forms a seal.
Beautiful.
So as the 2 are separated, I pulled it out before, but it seems to be in relatively good condition, although I think it had shortened a little bit. It wasn't quite joining the guttering, so we've got a fresh one, replacing it with the kit.
I imagine that's a good source of leaks.
Yes, so are all the holes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll give the roof a lift now and see.
Right, yeah.
See what we get. So yeah, just that's it. Get your hands front and back.
Hold on, I've got one through at the moment. There we go.
Okay. There we go.
Are we going to tip it?
Right, yeah. If we turn it end over end.
Quite it's very light, isn't it, for such a big panel?
Yes. Just going to store it safely over here for the minute. Maybe just rotate it 90 degrees.
There we go. So is that another piece of wood that's in the kit, or can that be reused?
You don't get all of the roof cross beams because they don't tend to rot.
Right.
But this will be the moment of truth as to how much of this rot on this side has got into it. Oh, there's a good bit of fungus and things going on this side.
Oh gosh, yeah. I think the other side's probably more interesting. This side, it's all nice and clean. Oh yeah,
A bit of a civilization growing there.
yeah. I saw quite a few comments in the first video on various fungus that had grown on their family travellers back in the day.
Suspicious fungus.
Yeah.
Yes, but thankfully the cross beams look in fairly good order, even though this has gone all soft. We'll take them off and have a good look underneath where they screw down. But you can see here now we've got the roof off where the head lining is tacked to the cross rails.
Oh yes.
So by taking the two rails off together, you know, you can keep the tension in the head lining and put it back if we're to reuse this one. But otherwise,
Yeah, you can obviously see where it's been varnished on the outside, but of course once it's assembled, you can't varnish on the inside anymore.
doesn't feel like it's going into anything with any strength.
There we go. It's like a big pair of bellows now.
Yes.
There we go. This is what a traveller looks like once you start dismantling it. So you can see where it stops being, it was the van cab, wasn't it?
Yeah, essentially it's the same body as the van from what I understand, and you could either have the wood back or there from here the metal cab would, the wet metal van would come up a foot. And
it's a strange old world because at one point vans became the most popular and most expensive minor variant out there. I think possibly just because of their sheer rarity. Travellers have always been popular, despite the inherent issues of the woodwork. People just love them. They're just so quintessentially English, I think.
Come on.
There we go. I've actually got some metal reinforcement.
Yeah,
on
they
those
use
corners.
those brackets to assemble the bodies separate from the vehicle. So they used to build them all and then plonk them on.
Yeah.
Allegedly, you don't have to reuse those if you rebuild them on the car. It was sort of a jig for building them off the car, but I'll put them back. They were there when they were original. And
We'll add it to the discard pile.
yes, that arch is one that you get in the kit, that one, presumably, you know, because of the tack leakage and things. Right, so the last couple of screws in the arch. And there's the 6 large ones to the pillar. I've already extracted the bolts that go through the rear panel there. Got to kind of dig those out a little bit, so they were done last night.
Yes, that's in a vulnerable old spot, isn't it?
Oh, come on.
So the inner arches are part of the floor pan,
Yes.
effectively.
Yes. And then they screw through into the woodwork of the outer panel work.
Oh yes, out into this arch.
Yeah.
So I guess we're going to find out what else is holding the two together. Some sort of sealing
Yes.
gunk, isn't there?
There is sealant gunk, yeah. Which we've used in spades last time. It comes when you buy the kit in like already pre-formed in a tube.
Okay.
Rather than being in a cartridge, you know, it's already kind of rolled out in a long thin line. You just kind of line it up and edge the panels rather than having to make a big mess with a caulking gun. You know, it's already pre-formed. Whether you want to support the side, because just in case. It's held on with a lot of sealer, but you never know.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say she's not falling off just yet. Oh, yeah, we've definitely got some movement.
It's moving. Feels like we're still stuck down here, though. Something. Oh no, it's coming. Okay, there's a tenon joint on the end of the...
So if there's a little attached to something down here, because there's a panel that goes, it's from the outer wing, isn't it? A bolt-on panel.
The wing is bolted to the side.
Yeah, isn't there a panel down here at floor level?
I've already removed... Well, I've taken that out in theory.
Because that should be bolt-on, but that was actually welded when this vehicle was last restored.
Ah, okay. Yeah, there's like a centimetre's worth of weld left there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, welding that panel on does make it more difficult next time, but to be fair, I guess this was done a long time ago and perhaps they hoped it would last quite a bit longer.
Well, I think it's had a repair after the fact. It's had a little bit of welding on the inner arch.
Yeah.
And unfortunately it's meant that the floor's been welded to the wing, which means I've got to cut that weld repair, and once the side's off...
Sometimes get out with 2CVs where people have welded the floor into the chassis.
Exactly. If it's strong enough for MOT, most of the time that's how it's done.
Yeah.
But with everything taken apart, I can do a better weld repair there. That's all it needed.
Try again. Oh yeah, there we go.
Okay, I've got to slide. There's a mortise and tenon joint here, so you could bring it back to that. That's it.
There we go.
Clean it up over here for now.
Gosh. No, it really does feel like we're getting somewhere, blimey.
A lot of prep work just to get to this stage.
Yeah, and then all this. Cheaper, that is quite a lot of sealant.
That's a lot of sealer, isn't it? Yeah. This is where the repair was that we were getting stuck on.
Ah, okay. So yeah, someone's just welded the... Oh, interesting.
Okay.
I suppose that would have been hidden, wouldn't it?
Yes, it was hidden by the woodwork.
And you can't weld the wood.
No. So it's had a lower sill at some point, and it's not been affixed to the inner sill by the look of that.
No, because
I think there's normally a flat plate extension here as well. I'll have to consult diagram, but I'm fairly sure should be a flat step here.
But I guess this isn't unusual. If you're digging into a Traveller, you're going to find metal repairs needed.
You dig into any car, you take a wing off and you find what's behind.
Yeah.
It's just going to be part and parcel of it.
But actually, the inner arch still seems very solid. The back of the cab, there's little bits of surface rust here and there, but they can just be cleaned up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bit of paint now will save it in the future. I mean, what is good about it is whoever's done it before greased the bolts that go into the pillar. So what can happen is you can spin the captive nuts in there. And then you're in trouble having to cut them out and things like that. But they all came out first time, so
that's not counting chicken just yet. We've still got the other side to go.
I've tested the screws. They are free.
Excellent.
So one side down, one to go.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's got the wood. It's all seized to the wood,
isn't it? Yeah.
Because the wood's all rotten, it's all captured in the rotten wood there. You have to chisel the wood off the back of that.
Yeah, the wood's so soft, quite a lot of it is still attached to this metal bar on that side, so we're trying to free it off just so we can cleanly get that side panel off.
There's so much rotten wood stuck to the cross beam that it won't allow us to, because the side needs to pull sideways off of the tenon joint on the end. Is it free at the bottom there?
No, that doesn't feel very free at all.
Gotta cut through that repair.
Bit more grindy.
Wiggle it again. Okay. So, wiggle it again. Hey.
There we go.
Okay.
Yep. I got this end. I got the easy end.
Hey.
There we go. Beautiful. We have a flat pack Traveller.
Serious quantity of sealer going on here.
Yeah. It must be a real weak spot where you've got this sort of inner flange meeting the inside.
Yeah, well, it's where the water gets kicked up at it all the time. The lip is still here. It's got
buried.
Yeah.
Yeah, they certainly didn't scrimp on it, did they?
It's a serious volume, but the lip is good, you know.
Yeah.
Because that's the danger, is that water sits in here and then eats away at the moulding.
No, so far the metal looks pretty good. So there's now just the one bit of wood left in this rear panel.
Yes, there's the cross beam there. That's held in lots of places from underneath and things like that. So there's quite a bit of bracketry still to undo for getting that out. So that might not be today, but
it still looks like impressive progress, though, doesn't it? We haven't been here that long, and we've got it in bits.
Yeah, so, well, it's once you get all the hundreds of screws out and tacks and things like that, it disassembles into major components quite quickly.
So as on the other side, it's had sills replaced at some point, but obviously while the wood was still fitted, so you can't get in and weld this final edge. So there'll definitely be a bit of bodywork need to be done, and just go in there as well by the look of it, before this the new wood can go back in place.
The next task then will be to strip these down, remove the panels that we want to save out of it. So the wheel arch is held by screws going up this way into the wood, and then obviously we've got to evaluate the condition of the arch when that comes out. And similarly then these aluminium panels are held on with screws all the way around. Clean them up and have a look and get all this nasty sealer off. Probably repaint and attach them to the new frames, and it's just a reversal of what we've just done.
It's as easy as that.
Yeah.
Now, restoring cars isn't really Tim's major thing, it's more mechanical side of things. So let's take a look at something else he does here.
Yeah, another thing I do is SU carburetor refurbishment. A big issue with SU carburetors is spindle wear. What happens over decades and decades of use is as you put your foot on the throttle and opening it up, you get wear between the rod and the body.
Oh yeah, we get that on 2CVs with the Solex carburetors doing exactly the same thing. Yeah,
originally they were a brass rod with a brass bush in the body, and the two similar metals ended up galling each other and they wear away. And the way to detect that on your SU is if you open the throttle just a touch and then you wiggle the shaft. If you get appreciable movement in it, then what happens is they suck air around the shaft, and you get unregulated air going in there. So what we do is strip them down and drill out the bodies, precision in line relative to the body, reverse ream them with a reamer that is the same diameter as the throttle shaft itself, so you can use the other side as a guide pilot to make sure that they are absolutely bang on in line, and that cuts the body then to the outside diameter of a bush insert, which it's a metal collar with like a PTFE coating on the inside, so it gives a nice soft surface for the shaft to move on, but they won't wear into each other, so it's more of a permanent fix.
So that's it for this second part of this Morris Minor Traveller re-wooding experiment. So yeah, do head to the Hubnut store if you would like to support what we do. There are links down below, but otherwise we shall see you in a future video. Farewell. Rot.